Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I am Blair Hickok. I am the Secretary and Treasurer of Neighbors Feeding Neighbors. To my right, I have our Board President, Lisa Levson, and to my left, I have our Attorney, Matthew Watkins. I want to thank you all for being here today. So, I'm here today to talk about the critical work that Neighbors Feeding Neighbors does, and the challenges that we're facing in our mission to serve hungry folks in the community. For the past 11 years, Neighbors Feeding Neighbors has been a steadfast presence at Washington Jefferson Park, providing meals to those in need every Wednesday through Saturday. We are a faith-based, no-barrier organization, which means we welcome anyone and everyone with open arms. Rain or shine, we have never missed a single day of service. The City of Eugene has raised concerns about unhoused folks existing in the park. Unfortunately, I understand these concerns. However, unhoused people existing is not the problem. It's the systemic issues that put them on the streets. We need to address the root causes of homelessness, not just the symptoms. This isn't a Whitaker-specific issue. Nationally, the number of unhoused people is 230 per 100,000 folks. Here in Eugene, that number is almost doubled. It's 432 per 100,000 people. This highlights the urgency of the situation and the need for effective solutions. I speak from personal experience. 8 years ago, I was one of these folks living at Washington Jefferson Park. The meals provided by Neighbors Feeding Neighbors was often my only source of food. In the 2 years I spent living on the streets, 6 months was spent at Washington Jefferson Park. I'm fortunate to have survived that period, and many others do not. Today I'm a student at the University of Oregon, studying accounting with a nonprofit administration minor. I'm living proof that with compassion and support, people can overcome adversity. Unfortunately, the City of Eugene has made our work significantly more difficult. They have increased our permit fees from $480 per year to upwards of $15,400 per year. This dramatic change threatens our ability to continue providing this essential service. The city has also suggested we relocate our services. However, Washington Jefferson Park is strategically located to serve the needs of our community. It provides a safe, well-lit area and access to bathrooms. Its proximity to the Lane County Jail and distance from schools makes it an ideal location. Additionally, the overpass offers protection from the elements. Moving our services would disrupt the lives of the vulnerable people we serve and could have devastating consequences. Furthermore, the recent installation of guardian trailers by the Eugene Police Department has created an atmosphere of fear and intimidation, discouraging people from accessing our services. This has led to a decrease in the number of people we serve and has created an unwelcome environment for our dedicated volunteers. Neighbors Feeding Neighbors remains committed to serving our community. We urge the City of Eugene to reconsider its policies and work with us to find solutions that support the most vulnerable members of our community. We are experiencing an urgent, unprecedented, systemic humanitarian crisis, and we need to work together to find long-term solutions that address the root causes of homelessness, not just push the problem out of sight. Next up, my board president, Lisa Levson. Thank you.
11 years ago, Brother Charlie, a Franciscan monk, started Eugene Catholic Workers. And he saw how many people were unhoused and hungry here in this park. And he started serving a pan of oatmeal and coffee down off of First Street because he saw the need. The need has not changed. It has compounded exponentially. Brother Charlie saw people, and he met them where the need was at. We continue to meet where the need is at. We're not asking them to move to some other place. We're meeting people who live in this community where they are at, and we continue to do so. And it's important because they get swept and they get their belongings lost, and they need access to local services that are nearby. So this location is a strategic location for all of the reasons that Blair mentioned. The City of Eugene has revoked our permit to serve in this park for the second time in 4 years. Each time they revoke our permit, we are met with EPD and the risk of citation and arrest for our volunteers to feed the unhoused. And each time we have been undeterred, continued to serve every single day, and continue to meet people where they are at. So the City of Eugene also told us that there were complaints from our neighbors about our impact on the park. We bust out all of our own trash. We try to leave this cleaner than we find it every single day, and those complaints have been completely unidentified, except for one neighbor's complaint. There's a gentleman that lives over here who came down and protested because he wanted us to move. And we met with him. And we found out that the reason he was protesting is because his 8-year-old son was afraid of the dogs in the park that are companions to our friends. So we went and got leashes for those dogs, and we had our volunteers walk his son to school every day until his son felt safe. And now he is one of our biggest supporters. We invite the mayor and the city manager and the head of parks and the city attorney and our city councilors, who were all invited to this meeting today, to come and serve with us, because there is a big difference in knowing someone's name, their life story, their food allergies, how they like their coffee, and what's going on that we can help them with today for one more day. And we do that 4 days a week. And there's a big difference between knowing that your name is Matt or your name is Blair and that you're hungry than there is just being a number or a statistic on a page. So here we are. It's 11 years later, and we still have a more tremendous need than we ever have. We will continue our mission to feed the hungry. We will use every available tool that we have, and that includes the U.S. and state constitutional rights afforded to every American under the law. So our attorney, Matt Watkins, has written a letter to the city mayor, the city manager, Parks and Open Spaces manager, and city attorney advising them of our rights, and I'm going to let Matt tell you more about that. Thank you.
So, briefly, what I've advised neighbors feeding neighbors is that everyone here is probably aware of constitutional rights guaranteed in the Bill of Rights of the Federal Constitution, the United States Constitution. But what people are less aware of when I speak to them is that Oregon has a Bill of Rights of its own under its own state constitution. And in examining the activities and talking to the people and the volunteers and the board members of this organization, I've identified no less than 4 constitutional rights guaranteed under the Oregon Constitution that protect the activities of this organization. Some people minister not by words, not by waking you up, knocking on your door in the morning, but through their actions. They should, by showing gentle and loving kindness and serving needs. By doing that, they're exercising a different type of ministry. And we assert and stand by the fact that this organization is performing its ministry by performing the work that it does. And that is covered by Article 1, Section 2 of the Oregon Constitution, which states, all men shall be secure in their natural right to worship Almighty God and according to the dictates of their own conscience. This is a very inclusive organization, and although it's a faith-based organization, And in performing a ministry, it also accepts and serves people who don't practice a faith. It doesn't exclude them. It will feed them, it will accept them as volunteers or board members. The activities of Neighbors Feeding Neighbors also invoke free speech rights and are protected by free speech rights because they're out here conveying a message, both through words and what we attorneys call expressive conduct, that is action that is performed to convey a message and constitutes and invokes the protections of free speech. And that is in addition to the First Amendment, that's protected under Article 1, Section 8 of the Oregon Constitution, which says, "No law shall be passed restraining the free expression of opinion or restricting the right to speak, write, or print freely on any subject whatever. But every person shall be responsible for the abuse of this right." And lastly, and I think this hits the nail on the head, there's a protection in the Oregon Constitution of parties who assemble to consult for the common good. That's Article 1, Section 26 of the Oregon Constitution. "No law shall be passed restraining any of the inhabitants of the state from assembling together in a peaceable manner to consult for their common good, nor from instructing their representatives, nor from applying to the legislature for redress of grievances." And I know from my work with Neighbors Feeding Neighbors, they're out here talking to people. They're out here consulting with people. They take the concerns of the people. They take them to the city council. They take them to their representatives. They take them to other faith-based organizations and non-faith-based organizations. If this is not assembling for the common good, nothing is. In the present situation, Neighbors Feeding Neighbors is simply asking that the city leave them alone. Let them be free to perform their work in ministry, to serve the community they serve. With that said, NFN has defenses under those same constitutional principles that I've just articulated if the city should choose to charge them or cite them for their activities. And we intend to zealously defend against any such charges should they arise. And lastly, the city should be on notice that violations of the rights of this organization and its individual members can and will be met with any civil remedy at our avail. Meaning we're going to sue you if you keep it up. So, haven't spoken at a press conference before. Hope I didn't botch it too much. But thank you for coming out. I would also just like to point out to those with their backs toward the road who are facing us with cameras that the police have driven by filming us as we speak up here. I just wanted you to know.
So he just asked if the city council would want to speak on their behalf at this specific event. So I did reach out to the city several times, and many different members, city manager, the Parks and Open Spaces manager, the mayor, and I got no response. So that's really frustrating on our part because we want to find solutions. We want to have a dialogue that's beneficial to everyone in this community.
We do know that the Whitaker Community Council wrote to the city asking them to revoke our permit. They did so without trying to reach out and meet with us first and have a conversation about neighborhood resolutions and neighborhood problems. We have since been to meet with the Whitaker Community Council 3 times at their general meetings, and each time at their general meeting they say that they are willing to meet with us, and each time they tell us when we try to set up a meeting that they don't have anything to say to us.